mean, that's how how around it got. It was playing on gas station TV in a deep fake commercial. So I mean, it's amazing where this stuff is seen and where it can get out to with the advances of today.
I really enjoyed that. And Jason's talked for a couple of years about some kind of feature version of that. If he ever does any feature film and asked me to be a part of it, I would. But yeah, I think Jason is, he's one of these directors who really is good at putting his pulse on what scares people at any particular moment, you know?
Right.
Like back then it was Facebook, and right now it's Zoom. So I'd love to work with him again. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, the whole concept and the original one was awesome too, and this was a great time and a great style to make of the sequel, so I thought it turned out very well.
And I would tell people, you can do it at takethislollipop.com, and you might, since Christmas is coming up, people might get a kick out of realizing that the man who did Take This Lollipop, Jason Zada, also created one of the most popular Christmas apps. It's called Elf Yourself.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, okay. So many people have seen it. It used to be Staples. I don't know who's got it now, but it's always some company has it online. But it's really simple. You upload photos of your family, and they get superimposed on these dancing elves, and it's really impossible to watch it without laughing. But that was all Jason's idea. And when we were shooting Lollipop, he told me how he did it, you know, how he was working for somebody else, and he did this on his lunch hour and put up a green screen and hired a dancer. And you know, that's the kind of person I really admire, who just had an idea and said, I wonder if we could do this, and tries to make it happen. He's a genius.
Yeah, it takes so much to be able to act, but putting into creating something from the ground up, a project-wise, has to be an enormous feat.
Yeah, I like to say that every movie that gets a 1 on IMDb has 100 people behind it. Nobody tries to make a bad movie, you know?
Right.
It's hard to make. Even a mediocre movie takes a lot of sweat.
Well, I was wondering, and I thought it might be a good question to ask, if you had a dream character or person that you haven't portrayed that you would like to.
Yes, I do, and it's an easy answer. It's Eric from The Phantom of the Opera, as he was originally written. And let me explain. In the original novel, Gaston Leroux, who wrote this in French, he was a police reporter, and he dealt with reports of a lot of killers who were physically deformed. And in those days, you know, if you were physically deformed or unusual in some way, you couldn't work. You couldn't have much of a life, and so a lot of them drifted into crime. And so he made Eric his Phantom of the Opera hero/villain. The ultimate version of this. Eric was so physically disfigured at birth, so much of what they used to call a freak, that his mother wouldn't look at him.
Oh, no.
And his father made him a tiny little mask to put on him, and they sold him to a traveling carnival. And so he grew up having to earn his keep. They would put him on stage, and he would have people pay money to stare and look at his body. That's the way he grew up, and that's where he learned magic. And then later on, he was made sort of a slave court jester of a Persian Shah, and that's where he learned to murder. So I say all of that the character, nobody threw acid in his face. He wasn't a handsome romantic hero who just had one half of his face. He was a freak by the standards of his day. He was born that way. And nobody outside of Chaney in the 1925 version presents him that way. They always say, well, we got to have a reason that he's disfigured. But the whole point is, he was born that way. So that's my little pitch. And if there are independent filmmakers out there, I keep telling young guys and girls, the story's in the public domain. It doesn't have to be in the Paris Opera House. In fact, it probably shouldn't be now, because it's been done so many times. Just take the core of the story and rip it out of that frame and put it wherever you want it. It could be staged anywhere.
Right.
The point is the character. So that, Eric is the character that I would like to play. And I don't think anybody's really done him legitimately since the 1925 version. And even that movie, Ian, they cheated because Lon Chaney wanted the ending to be Eric dies of a broken heart at his organ. Right. And they find his skeleton years later slumped over his organ. That's an ending in keeping with the character. They shot that. They showed it to test audiences in 1925, and they hated it. Hated it. Because you can't have the monster be sympathetic. He's got a monster in 1925. And so they went back and they shot this ending, which I really don't like. The ending where he's being chased by the mob, and they tear him apart and throw him into the river.
I think originality can be so much that they need to do with these remakes and stuff, and pick one central core of an original story and build around it to make it new. And I like what you said, bringing it up before, before these characters even became well known, and getting to kind of the core root of the original.
Yeah, that's right. It would be like doing a Freddy reboot in which he didn't necessarily live on Elm Street. Now, I know people say, oh, that would be heresy. But to even think about that, it forces you to say, what is the essence of this character? And it rips you out of the cliche.
Right.
He's a guy with a striped shirt and a glove and a hat, and he lives on Elm Street. It makes you think about, what is he? And in a weird
a pedophile.
Way, that's why I liked playing Lincoln in Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies, because if you're going to try to play Abraham Lincoln fighting zombies and be authentic
right.
in doing it, you really have to think, what is the essence of Abraham Lincoln's character? And if he faced this bizarre situation, how would he act? So I really like doing that. I like the idea of thinking about what's the essence of this character, forget the surroundings. And if you can do that, then you can take your character and place him in any situation.
I think that's one of the things I like most about that, and what probably makes it my favorite movie of yours, is that it wasn't a campy Lincoln, because the movie itself was kind of campy and hard to believe, but it was an authentic style of Abe Lincoln, just in a bad situation.
I wouldn't do a campy Lincoln. I love him too much. He's my man. Lincoln said somebody accused him once of being two-faced, and he said, my God, if I had two faces, do you think I'd be wearing this one?
All right. He was a genuine nice guy, and I love the ties we have here in Central Illinois to him, because he's just all over the place.
Lincoln was a good man. He was a decent man, an honorable man, and he was a melancholy man. That's what I like the most about him, is that he brooded. You know, he was a man of sorrows. He had
right.
experienced a lot of sorrow in his life. He thought a lot about death. And so if you were around him, he could make you laugh. And then he could also be very quiet and very solemn, and he had that weird mixture. I really like that. It's not very popular today. We like people read one thing or the other, but that's what I like about him.
Yeah, Lincoln had a lot of sad stuff he dealt with. Anne Rutledge passed away, and the first love of his life, losing all but one of his kids. And then he passed on, and his wife ended up in an institution for a while. It's really unfortunate, because I think he was a great person. And to have all that sadness and sorrow toppled with the Civil War and everything else going on, it's just...
He loved poetry. He loved Shakespeare, poems that dealt with sorrow, bits of Shakespeare that deal with tragedy. I think if you can be a person that's not afraid to look at darkness and think about darkness, then the darkness becomes a little less dark. If life is essentially, I think at its core, and I think it's tragic, because we're here for such a very short time and then we're gone. So if you just want life to be nothing but happiness and excitement, there's always going to be this sneaking little devil back in the background saying, hello, I'm here, hello, I'm here, your time's running out. But if you deal with it through poetry or through stories, if you're able to understand that the core of life is sadness, it makes the happiness a lot happier.
Wow, that's really not a great way of thinking about it. And I feel like I dwell too much a lot on things, but I still try to have fun as much as possible and be goofy as much as I can and listen to dogs fighting as much as possible.
You do. I follow you online, and you have both. I mean, you're a very fun person, but you're not superficially fun, right? Like, it's clear, like following you on social media and all. When you have something serious to say, you say it.
Yeah, it's, I try to always tell people I try to put out good stuff, especially like on Facebook, because there seems to be so much hatred, and I could go on and on about my knees hurting and how I hurt myself today because I'm accident prone, or how I feel like crap and I'm depressed, but I still try to find a good thing to put out there.
You know what? I think that would be a great Facebook post, just simply, I feel like crap and I'm depressed. And then see what people say. See how many likes you get.
Yeah, get a couple of laughs and... Oh my goodness. Well, we are on to the last question. I think we went over time. My dogs aren't going to shut up anyways. But being that this day and age is kind of interesting, what does the future hold for you, Bill? I'm sure more podcasts and kooky, scary films.
Yes. I really, what time I have left in the earth, whatever God grants me, I want to do strange. That's the best way to put it. I want to do strange. I just have no interest anymore in doing normal. I'm not interested in being the doctor or the pathologist who solves the case. I don't care about any of that. I have a heart for representing the weird, the strange, the misfits, and that's all I want to do. So, films and TV shows and any other projects that I do, that's where I'm going to come at it from for the rest of my life. And I would like to invite your viewers to watch a new series that I'm on. What's the second season? Age of the Living Dead. It's on Amazon Prime, and it begins the second season November 15th. It's vampires versus humans, and I play a vampire leader, and he's very strange.
Wow. That seems like a great concept for a show.
Yeah, I think so. It's done by a British production team, which means it's very high quality. And it's the United States has been split up in this world into two segments, one for the vampires and one for the humans. And the vampires have to keep making concessions. The humans have to keep making concessions to the vampires. And the vampires need to keep them alive because they need their blood. They can't let all of them die.
Oh, jeez.
So it's very interesting. It's called Age of the Living Dead. Yeah, I'd encourage people to check it out. And I got a movie coming out too called Painkiller. The director is Mark Savage, and it's a sequel to a movie called Stress to Kill. And this one's called Painkiller. It's about opioid abuse, and it's a revenge thriller. And yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty good. It came out well.
That's very awesome. I think the opioid crisis is something that's really affecting us, so it seems to have made its way into the film industry as well.
Yeah. In fact, the producer of this movie, Painkiller, his son actually died of, unfortunately, of opioid overdose.
Oh, no.
And so this movie about a guy whose child has died of opioids is based on, it's a fantasy based off his experience when you just have that feeling of nobody's doing anything about this. It's killed my child, and somebody's going to pay. That's my character's attitude, but he was based in the real-life experience of the producer.
It's probably a good way to be able to let go of some of that pain, channeling that through a character.
Storytelling's a great way to do that. It's cathartic.
Well, Bill, thank you so very much. I hope I didn't take too much of your time, but it's always such an honor. I feel like I could talk to you for hours on end, sir. Thank you so much again for the shirt and another autograph because I feel so upset that my Lincoln one somehow was